What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am AeroEnder, and welcome to AeroEnder Reads the News, episode 4. I have a couple stories here ranging from 100,000 refugees fleeing Syria to the Queen of Cocaine being killed in Colombia. So I hope y'all had a great day. Obviously the Queen of Cocaine hasn't, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, for our first story, you have probably heard about this. It's been on all the major news outlets. Clarke Duncan, sadly, has died at the age of 54. He was the actor in The Green Mile, and he died nearly 2 months after suffering from a heart attack. So he had his heart attack and died 2 months later. This is really sad, because I love Clarke Duncan. And I haven't seen all of The Green Mile, but I saw most of it, and I really loved his performance. I've seen him in a couple of other things, and I saw him often on the Craig Ferguson show. This is just sad because it's a great actor, a great person. He's a really nice man, and his life was cut short at 54, which is kind of short in today's society. So, this is just sad, but let's go ahead and move on to the next story. Our second story today comes from CNN with the headline, Queen of Cocaine Killed in Colombia. An elderly woman who was known as Colombia's Queen of Cocaine was gunned down in the northwestern city of Medellin, police said Tuesday. Griselda Bianco, age 69, was killed by 2 bullets at close range. A violent end not unlike the ones the authority says she has ordered out during her prime in the 1970s and 80s, which was cocaine's heyday. Cocaine is not the biggest drug nowadays. Back then, that was the drug. Blanco, also known as the Godmother and Mafia's mother, gained notoriety in the 1970s and 80s when the authority says she was responsible for shipping multi-ton shipments of cocaine from Colombia to Miami. She was also the mastermind, investigators say, of countless murders. She was also linked to drug lord Pablo Escobar. This paragraph is probably my favorite out of the whole thing. Authorities say if she was not one of the most prolific traffickers in the Miami area, she was certainly one of the most violent. We've got her conservatively estimating her to be involved in at least 40 homicides between Miami, Queens, and Broward County. So you have this woman who owns and manages this cocaine empire, and the Miami Police Department is pretty much saying she has killed over 40 people, like ordered hits out on 40 people. This is like Godfather movie level intrigue. This is just fascinating to me because in today's day and age we don't normally think of like there being mafias or drug. We do know there's drug lords, but we don't think of them as mafia terms like we did in the 50s and 60s in America. It's just fascinating to me that this Queen of Cocaine existed. I'd never heard of her before this. Let's go ahead and move on to the next story. You may notice that in the background I'm drinking a Red Bull, and that is because of this story right here. Voreyuth Vudivnyaha, I just butchered that name, but let's move past that. The Red Bull heir was arrested in deadly Thai hit and run. A grandson of the creator of the Red Bull energy drink has been arrested for driving a Ferrari that struck a police officer and dragged his dead body down a Bangkok street in an early morning hit and run. So many things in that one statement. So first off, he's the grandson of probably one of the richest businessmen in the world. Next, he was driving a Ferrari. Third, he didn't hit just anyone, he hit a police officer. And fourth, it's not like he hit him and then drove, he hit him and dragged him. The victim, Sergeant Major Wicken Glasspruz, again, butchered the name, age 47, was killed during a motorcycle patrol before dawn. Thai media reported that the car dragged the officer and his motorcycle for several dozen meters as it sped through the residential neighborhood. This dude just dropped the ball. Whoever, I don't know how to say the name of the grandson, but that dude just dropped the ball. He doesn't have to work a day in his life. His grandfather is loaded, and yet he takes the family Ferrari and hits a cop. Like, I'm sorry, if I'm rich and my grandson hits a cop with my Ferrari, guess what? You're out of the will! Yes, oh, the grandson who murdered a police officer with my Ferrari? Let's just X him out of the will right now. Way to go, dude. You just lost your inheritance. On to the next story. Alright, for a slightly more serious story, although the death of a police officer in Thai is not by any means light, this one, the title reads, UN says 100,000 refugees fled Syria in August. So we have a now declared civil war by the Red Cross in Syria. It is pretty much just established that it's a civil war now. Assad's forces attacking its own citizens, and the rebels are fighting violently and valiantly back. 100,000 people fled Syria last month. And the UN still doesn't want to intercede. By the way, you have China and Russia are the two people who, not four, two people who are really backing Syria in this and is stopping the UN from intervening militarily. They had peace observers, but they can't do squat. So you have the UN basically sitting back and letting people get murdered and having to flee their own country. When a statistic says that 100,000 citizens of a country are so scared for their own lives that they leave their homeland and flee to the surrounding areas, it's time to step in. I don't care. I don't care that Russia or China is trying to stop the remaining countries in the UN from intervening. Just get over it, Russia and China. It is time to step in. And that ends my rant for the day. Time for the next story. Speaking of Russia, corporate bribes not tax deductible in Russia, Finance Ministry says. Here's a quote from the article. Expenses incurred while committing legal violations, including providing bribes or kickbacks, are not recognized for the purpose of tax assessment. The ruling is specifically directed at arms exporters and commodity companies. A survey conducted last year by Transparency International found Russia was the country most likely to use bribery to secure foreign contracts. This isn't to say like the Russian companies are the only one bribing, but I'm sorry, are they trying to write this off? In business, if you take a client out to dinner, you can write that off as a business expense. But I don't think giving him $4,000 so he maybe convinces the board to take your contract is really a business expense. That's called a bribe, and it's normally looked down upon, just like blackmail or assaulting someone to make sure they do what you want. The audacity of these Russian businesses attempting to write this off. Good job, Russia. Good job. Alright, that is it for the 4th episode of AeroEnder Reads the News. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for news stories for me to talk about in the next episode, please leave them in the comments. If you liked this episode, please leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. Voice your opinions in the comments, even if you don't have something you want to suggest for me to talk about. If you would like to see my latest episode on the channel, look right here. There are now more Call of Duty videos up, and I will keep doing that. I'm going to do more live commentaries, and I'll throw in a chill commentary in there somewhere, and I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week, and peace.